okay, the question is, it's a broken world, and yet God seems to be totally in control, right? That place where you quoted where it says he cares about every hair of your head, which means he cares for you a lot more than he cares about me. But it also means, that's the place that people don't even see what it's saying. I think in Matthew 10 it says, and not even a sparrow falls to the ground, but what does it say? Does it say, but the Father cares? No. What does it say? It's but by the Father's will. In other words, it's saying even when bad things happen, it's part of God's plan. And that's what you're after. And I think what this means, of course, is that when, for example, when God says, I don't want Jacob to lie, but he lied. I mean, he deceived Isaac and he cheated Esau. And that was a sin. Is that God's will? No, in the sense of God has given us his will. I don't want you to lie. And he says, if you do lie, this is actually a lot like prayer, frankly. I don't want you to lie. If you do lie, there'll be destruction in your life. However, in another sense, if Jacob had not lied, he never would have left. He never would have met Leah and Rachel. He never would have had his children, and the Messiah wouldn't have been born. Okay, another way, God did not want Judas to betray Jesus. On the other hand, and yet it says in Acts chapter 2, verse 23, that it was ordained that Judas betrayed Jesus. So you have the very, very same paradox here with prayer. That is to say, when Jesus comes back with miracles, he's saying, I don't want people hungry, that's why he feeds. I don't want people sick, that's why he heals. I don't want people broken spiritually, that's why he does the demon exorcism. And yet, he hasn't come back, and the kingdom of God is not here fully. And what that means is God, for purposes and reasons that only he knows, he's allowing the brokenness to continue. And even when we cooperate with it by our own sin, he uses that for our redemption. He uses Jacob's sin, even though Jacob never should have sinned, in order to redeem Jacob. He uses, you see what I'm saying? So what this really means is, there's the same paradox, but it works. In fact, as bad as this is, somebody says, boy, this is all kind of paradoxical. Think of the alternative. The alternative is either God's not in control, so these bad things that are happening are kind of, who knows what could happen. So God's not in control, I should be scared. Or else God is happy for them. Your mother died of a heart attack, my will, that's fine. You see, none of those work. That God would be happy for them, and therefore he wants these nasty things to happen. He's gleefully rubbing his hands. Or that he's not in control, and that these things are accidents. These things are random, and God's keeping his hands off. I don't want to live in either of those kinds of worlds. I don't want a God that wimpy, and I want a God that happy. What I want a God who says, I'm controlling all things redemptively, though in my wisdom, which I'm not going to reveal to you, I'm not wiping out suffering and evil now. Say, I'm going to let it go for purposes that I have. There's something better on the other side of the evil and suffering than there would be if I wiped it out right now. I can't explain it to you. But meanwhile, I don't want these things to happen, yet they're part of the plan. And I'm going to use them in your life to redeem you, even if you're my child, even if you screw up. That balance, that tension is very, very similar to the prayer tension. But all I can say is, if you don't like it, what's the alternative? It's the best.